Observe as something quiet has begun moving through our sky, and it did not arrive by chance. You weren't meant to pass by this night untouched. A distant visitor older than our sun has slipped into the narrow space between light and shadow, and somehow it has led you here. What are the odds that an interstellar object would reach its moment of greatest energy exactly when every human telescope is blind? What if, at the peak of solar force, something absorbed 33 gigawatts of radiation and left no clear trace behind? Beyond the glare of the sun, a silent shape drifts through invisible fire, carrying questions we are not yet ready to answer. A shadow moves where certainty should be. Stay with me. Listen, before sleep takes you. Tonight the universe whispers again. There are moments in astronomy when nothing dramatic happens in the sky, yet everything changes in the mind of those who watch. This is one of those moments. Far beyond the quiet orbit of Mars, an interstellar object known as 3I Atlas continues its silent passage, carrying with it questions older than our species. It does not announce itself with light or sound. It simply moves, obeying gravity, slipping between equations, unsettling the calm assumptions we once held with confidence. I remember nights like this well. The low hum of observatory instruments, the faint warmth of electronics against the cold air. Hours spent watching numbers update by fractions so small they feel almost symbolic. This is how discoveries often begin, not with revelation, but with unease. A sense that something fits the data, yet does not fit the story. Thus Atlas arrived quietly, the third known visitor from beyond our solar neighbourhood. Objects like this are expected to behave unpredictably, yet statistically forgettable. Random paths, random chemistry, random timing. But this one refuses to remain forgettable. Each new measurement aligns just enough to raise an eyebrow, then another and another, until curiosity becomes something heavier. Not fear, not excitement, something closer to respect. As Atlas approached the inner solar system, it moved into a region where sunlight grows sharp, where radiation sculpts surfaces, and volatile material begins to wake. This passage toward perihelion marks the most intense moment of its long journey through interstellar space. Solar energy concentrates. Physics grows impatient. Matter reveals its habits. And yet during this most revealing phase, our view disappears. From Earth, Atlas slips behind the sun. Instruments fall silent. Optical tracking fades into glare. It is not unusual, it is geometry. And still, the timing feels almost poetic. At the moment of greatest energy, we are left only with inference, models, memory, and silence. Silence is the universe thinking. Before the blackout data accumulated slowly the way it always does, orbital calculations first, then spectroscopy, then careful comparisons to what we already know. The orbit of Atlas draws a line only a few degrees away from the plane where planets circle our star. For an object born elsewhere, this alignment is statistically rare, though not impossible. Yet the path itself is elegant, efficient. It brushes past regions of interest with minimal expenditure of energy. Gravity alone can explain it, but gravity rarely appears so considerate. When you work long enough with trajectories, patterns begin to feel personal. You start to sense when motion carries intention, even if intention exists only in your own interpretation. This is where caution matters. Science does not reward storytelling. It rewards restraint. Still some paths linger longer in the mind than others. Then came the chemistry. Nickel appeared in the spectra, shining where it rarely does. Not accompanied by iron as expected from natural cosmic formation, but standing strangely alone. On Earth, such separation requires control, heat and precision. In space, nature tends toward messiness. Entropy prefers mixtures. Atlas resists that preference. The nickel remains concentrated near the core, while other compounds spread more freely into surrounding space. The pattern does not shout. It simply refuses to blur. Water, the lifeblood of comets, tells another quiet story. Atlas carries very little of it. Only traces far less than expected. Other interstellar visitors showed familiar ratios, icy signatures that fit comfortably within comet models. This one does not. Its surface reflects light in ways that suggest textures we have not catalogued. polarization curves fall into negative ranges, subtle but persistent. These are not errors. They are observations waiting patiently to be understood. At times like this, traveller, it helps to remember how small certainty truly is. Mass estimates add weight to the puzzle literally. Calculations suggest an object far heavier than previous visitors, large enough to resist measurable non-gravitational acceleration despite visible outgassing, large enough that it challenges our expectations of how often such bodies should appear, large enough to make you pause not because it implies anything extraordinary, but because it asks whether our sampling of the universe is still embarrassingly incomplete. Between July and August, something else emerged, an anti-tail, material moving toward the sun rather than away from it. At first glance, this can feel unsettling, yet physics allows such behaviour under specific geometries. Dust-light pressure viewing angles, there are explanations. There are always explanations. But each explanation rests delicately atop another assumption, and the stack grows taller than usual. This is where theory begins to branch. Some paths remain conservative. Perhaps Atlas formed near a young energetic star in a region poor in water and rich in metals. Perhaps chemistry there followed routes we have not reproduced in laboratories. Other paths wander further. Fragmentation, internal structures reacting unevenly to heat. Controlled release of material shaped by forces we barely understand. None of these ideas break physics. They simply stretch it gently like light bending near mass. There is comfort in that stretch. Disagreement soon followed, as it always does. Some scientists urge restraint, reminding us that data collected under difficult conditions often exaggerates mystery. Others argue that dismissing anomalies too quickly risks missing something fundamental. Both positions are necessary. Tension sharpens understanding. Consensus comes later, if it comes at all. I've learned over many years beneath quiet skies that the universe does not owe us clarity. It offers glimpses, patterns half-formed, signals wrapped in noise. Our role is not to conquer these mysteries, but to sit with them honestly, to let questions exist without forcing them into premature answers. As Atlas continues unseen behind the sun, processes unfold beyond our instruments. Radiation strikes ancient material. Entropy does its quiet work. Momentum carries forward. Somewhere beyond our reach, something ancient still moves. And for now, that is enough. It's all right to not understand. The night remains calm. The equations wait. And the stars, as always, keep their secrets a little longer. Tonight the universe whispers again, but this time the whisper carries structure. After the first wave of measurements settled into memory, what remained was not shock but pattern. In science, pattern is where unease becomes focus. One anomaly can be dismissed, two can be debated. But when features begin to align across disciplines, motion, chemistry, mass, and light attention deepens, not because the answers are clear, but because the questions refuse to remain separate. I remember staring at orbital plots long after midnight, the room lit only by a dim monitor glow. Outside, the sky appeared ordinary. Stars followed their ancient arcs. Nothing visible betrayed the tension hidden inside the data. Yet on the screen, Atlas traced a path that felt unusually composed. Not dramatic, not erratic, simply efficient. It moved through the solar system like something conserving effort, respecting gravity rather than fighting it. Efficiency is not proof of intention. Nature, after all, often finds elegant solutions. Rivers carve optimal paths. Light bends with quiet precision. Still, when an interstellar object passes close to multiple planetary orbits, with minimal adjustment the mind pauses. The odds are not impossible. They are merely thin enough to notice. Spectroscopic readings deepened that pause. Nickel continued to appear steady and persistent, glowing softly against the darkness. Cyanide spread farther out, forming a wider halo as if the two substances obeyed different rules. In natural sublimation, temperature governs release. Volatility dictates distance. Here the separation felt deliberate, though deliberate is a dangerous word. It tempts us to assign agency where there may be none, yet the data did not rush. It waited. Water scarce, as it was told a subtler story. Comets from our system carry ice like memory. Water shapes their behaviour. It dictates their brightness, their tails, their rhythm near the sun. Atlas lacked that familiarity. Its low water fraction suggested origins in a harsher cradle, perhaps near a young star, where heat erased volatiles before structure fully formed. This explanation fits physics, it fits chemistry, it fits comfort. But comfort is not confirmation. Light reflected from Atlas behaved strangely as well. Polarization measurements dipped into negative territory, a quiet deviation from known cometary surfaces. This does not mean artificiality. It means texture, grain size, structure at scales we cannot resolve directly. It hints at surfaces layered by processes we have not catalogued, shaped by time beyond our solar experience. Mass calculations followed slow and careful. Outgassing rates suggested force. Yet the orbit showed little response. No meaningful deviation from gravity alone. This mismatch implies heft. A body large enough to absorb recoil without flinching. Larger than expected. Heavier than precedent suggests we should have detected so early in our search of interstellar space. Statistically, we should have seen many smaller visitors before encountering something so massive. But statistics describe populations, not destinies. The universe does not distribute its surprises evenly. Sometimes the first glimpse is the outlier, then came the anti-tail. Material appeared to move sunward, faint but persistent. At first it felt wrong, then geometry softened the tension. Dust particles can behave this way under certain alignments. Solar radiation interacts unevenly with size and shape. Again, physics provided shelter. Yet even sheltered explanations can feel crowded when they arrive together. At this point, theoretical frameworks branched naturally. One path held firmly to a natural origin. A comet formed under exotic conditions shaped by metallic chemistry, stripped of water, carrying scars from a violent stellar youth. This scenario requires no new physics, only humility about how little we know of other star systems. Another path suggested internal structure. Fragmentation not as chaos, but as sequence. Layers responding differently to heat. Compartments releasing material in stages. Not machinery, not intention. Just complexity preserved by deep cold and revealed by solar proximity. Further along, some models allowed orbital change. Not propulsion, but subtle interaction. A small shift during perihelion could trap Atlas within the solar system. Gravity amplifies small impulses at such speeds. This is orbital mechanics, not speculation. The Oberth effect has carried our own probes across worlds. Nature can use it too. The most distant path imagines shedding. Small components release gently, fragments drifting free. Ice rock dust or something else entirely. Again, this does not imply design. Comets fragment. They crumble. They shed. But the scale here would be unusual given the estimated mass. Each scenario remains incomplete. Each explains some features and leaves others untouched. This is not failure. This is science in its most honest state. Listener, there is a moment in research when explanation gives way to patience, when the correct response is not to decide but to wait. Debate emerged as it always does. Some voices urge caution, reminding us that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Others warned against dismissing anomalies simply because they feel uncomfortable. Both positions protect the integrity of inquiry. Progress lives between them. What fascinates me most is not the disagreement itself, but its tone. This is not panic, not triumph. It is a quiet tension about how knowledge grows, slowly, reluctantly, through friction. As Atlas moved closer to perihelion, opportunities lined up ahead. Spacecraft positioned for distant observation. Telescopes prepared for post-blackout study. Instruments tuned to catch heat motion composition. The universe offered checkpoints, not answers. And through it all, silence persisted. Silence is not absence, it is space. Space for uncertainty, space for restraint, space for wonder without fear. Somewhere beyond our reach, something ancient still moves, tracing a path that intersects briefly with our curiosity. Whether Atlas proves to be an unusual comet or something that forces new categories, the outcome matters less than the process. Observation, question, acceptance. For now the data rests, the sun burns steadily, and we wait not in suspense but in calm attention. It's all right to not understand. The stars continue their slow turning, and the night as always holds us gently. There comes a phase in every serious observation when the instruments fall quiet, not because the universe has stopped speaking, but because geometry insists on restraint. This is where the story of Atlas now rests. As the object drifts closer to perihelion, it slips behind the sun from Earth's point of view. The glare becomes absolute. Light overwhelms optics, sensors saturate, precision dissolves into brightness. Even the most sensitive instruments humanity has ever built are forced to turn away. For a span of days and weeks, the universe closes a curtain at the exact moment curiosity reaches its peak. To many, this feels deeply uncomfortable. A critical moment hidden, a mystery denied its climax. But for those who have lived inside observatories and data archives for decades, this silence is familiar. Expected, almost necessary. The sky has always demanded patience before clarity. I have learned over long nights and longer careers that silence often carries more meaning than discovery. When data stops arriving, the urgency fades, the mind slows, the desire to announce conclusions softens into something quieter and more durable. This is when understanding begins to mature. Old plots are revisited, assumptions are read again not with confidence but with curiosity. Models are adjusted not to force agreement, but to see where they strain and where they hold. Atlas continues its journey unseen, passing through the region of maximum solar influence. Radiation presses steadily against its surface. Heat penetrates inward layer by layer without drama. Volatile compounds respond according to laws older than Earth itself. Whether the object changes profoundly or barely at all, those processes are unfolding now hidden from every human eye. There is something profoundly humbling about this moment. We have learned to detect atoms across interstellar distances. We can measure velocity changes smaller than a walking pace on objects millions of kilometers away. And yet we cannot watch an object pass close to our own star. This is not a failure of science. It is a reminder of scale. Stars are not arranged for observation. The universe does not pause to accommodate curiosity. During the blackout debate itself begins to soften. Without fresh data to sharpen arguments, voices grow quieter. Positions become less rigid. Even disagreement relaxes into shared uncertainty. This is a rare state in science and a valuable one. It reminds us that knowledge is provisional and that certainty should always be held lightly. Some researchers expect nothing remarkable to occur during perihelion. That atlas will emerge much as it entered its anomalies, intact but unamplified. Others quietly hope for subtle shifts, small deviations in velocity, faint changes in emission, delicate alterations so minor they will require weeks of careful analysis to confirm. Neither hope nor skepticism dominates. Both wait. I have watched many objects pass through similar moments. Most follow familiar patterns. Some fragment quietly. A few surprises briefly. Almost none redefine understanding overnight. The universe prefers continuity to spectacle. It rarely announces change with clarity. Yet this silence feels heavier than most. Not because it suggests danger, but because of its timing. Just as hypotheses multiply, observation pauses. Just as explanations stretch to their limits, evidence withdraws. It feels almost instructive, as if the cosmos itself is reminding us that curiosity must coexist with restraint. Late at night, when observatory lights dim and the final screens go dark, I often step outside. Without magnification, the sky becomes less precise and more honest. Stars blur softly. The Milky Way fades in and out with atmospheric patience. Somewhere within that vastness, Atlas moves unseen, indifferent to our anticipation. Traveller. This is where science becomes something quieter than problem-solving. Not philosophy in the abstract sense, but acceptance. Acceptance that some questions are not answered on our schedule. Acceptance that knowledge grows unevenly. Acceptance that uncertainty is not a threat but a condition of exploration. Inside laboratories and research centres, work continues quietly. Simulations run. Chemical pathways are tested against unfamiliar stellar environments. Orbital models are recalculated with tighter margins. Fragmentation scenarios are explored without assuming intention or design. Each model explains something, none explain everything, and that is how progress often looks from the inside. Entropy continues its patient work everywhere. Stars burn fuel without urgency. Orbits evolve imperceptibly. Information disperses. Atlas. Whatever its nature is bound by these same laws, it is not exempt from time. It is not beyond physics, and neither are we. There is peace in recognizing this shared vulnerability. We often speak of humanity's fragility in cosmic terms, but fragility is not weakness. It is awareness. To know that we are small temporary observers in a vast system is not diminishing. It is grounding. It places curiosity in context and removes the pressure to conquer every unknown. Not knowing does not diminish meaning. It expands it. The night sky has inspired civilizations precisely because it withholds as much as it reveals. Mystery is not a flaw in understanding. It is its origin. When the blackout ends, instruments will wake again. Telescopes will realign. Data will return slowly, pixel by pixel, number by number. Some questions will narrow, others will dissolve. Perhaps Atlas will settle quietly into known categories, or perhaps it will continue to resist them gently and persistently. Either outcome is acceptable. What matters is how we meet it. With patience rather than urgency, with curiosity rather than fear, with humility rather than certainty. Science is not a conquest of the unknown. It is a long conversation with silence. Silence is the universe thinking. And during that thinking, we are allowed to rest. The sun continues its steady burn. Atlas continues its unseen arc. And here on Earth, beneath a sky that has never promised answers, we wait not anxiously, but attentively. It's all right to not understand. The darkness remains kind, and sleep like gravity arrives without resistance. Eventually every silence loosens its grip. The blackout does not end with a revelation, but with a gradual return. First, a narrow window opens at the edge of the sun's glare, then another. Telescopes reorient slowly, carefully, as if not to startle what they are about to see. Data does not arrive all at once. It trickles back, cautious and incomplete, asking to be handled gently. This is how observation resumes not with answers, but with responsibility. I have always felt that the moments after silence are more delicate than the silence itself. Expectation can distort perception. Hope can lean too heavily on weak signals. Skepticism can dismiss subtle change too quickly. The task now is balance. To receive what returns without forcing it to speak louder than it is willing to. Atlas emerges from behind the sun altered or perhaps unchanged. At first it is difficult to tell. Light curves must be corrected. Thermal signatures need calibration. Motion must be compared against predictions drawn weeks earlier. The object does not announce whether perihelion mattered. It simply continues. This continuation is the first clue. If something dramatic had occurred, fragmentation, violent outgassing, sudden deviation, its fingerprints would be unmistakable. Large changes refuse to hide, but Atlas offers no such clarity. Instead, it invites patience. The kind of patience that measures difference not in spectacle, but in residuals. Heat signatures become available again, faint but telling. Radiation absorbed during perihelion has left traces subtle warmth, where models expected either more or less. Chemistry too reveals itself slowly. Emissions fluctuate, but within ranges that provoke discussion rather than certainty. Nothing screams. Everything whispers. Tsna. This is where interpretation becomes art constrained by discipline. Some see confirmation of natural explanations. Exotic chemistry, yes, but still chemistry. Unusual formation history, but still gravity-bound matter, baying entropy. Others notice what did not happen. No dramatic increase in water output. No collapse in structure. No acceleration inconsistent with mass estimates. These absences matter as much as presences. Absence is data's quiet cousin. Velocity measurements follow. They are precise. They are unforgiving. Small deviations, if present, would be amplified by time. So far, the orbit remains loyal to gravity alone. This does not eliminate every speculative scenario, but it narrows them. It reminds us that extraordinary mechanisms must leave measurable scars, and yet even loyalty can feel strange when expectations were already strained. As observations accumulate, the conversation shifts, not toward alien certainty or dismissal, but toward classification. Where does Atlas belong? Does it expand existing categories or demand new ones? These questions do not demand immediate answers. They require consensus, and consensus requires time. Debate resumes, though softer than before. Some voices argue that the mystery has been overstated, that the object's behaviour, while unusual, fits within the wide diversity of cosmic formation. Others counter that diversity itself may be broader than we have admitted. Both positions can coexist without conflict. I have learned that science progresses not through victory but through convergence. Beyond Earth-based observatories, spacecraft contribute their distant perspectives. Probes positioned far from our planet gather data without atmospheric interference. They do not see more clearly but differently. Heat motion, faint molecular traces, all are pieced together like fragments of a larger mosaic. Each piece adds context. None completes the image. Time stretches the narrative. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. The urgency that once surrounded Atlas dissipates into steady attention. This is not loss of interest. Loss. It is maturation. Curiosity that survives without spectacle is the most reliable kind. There is a quiet relief in this phase. The fear that something incomprehensible has slipped past us unnoticed gives way to something calmer. A recognition that even if Atlas is extraordinary, it remains part of a universe governed by continuity. That even anomalies have limits. That wonder does not require alarm. Late nights return to their familiar rhythm. Data reviewed, notes written, doubts recorded honestly. The sky resumes its role as companion rather than challenger. Somewhere beyond Earth, Atlas continues outward, carrying with it whatever secrets remain intact. Traveller. This is where humility earns its place. Not every mystery resolves cleanly. Some leave residues, questions that remain open, definitions that remain flexible. This is not failure. It is adaptation. Science grows not only by solving puzzles, but by learning which puzzles are worth keeping unsolved for a while. There is something comforting in realizing that the universe does not hinge on any single object. Atlas does not threaten understanding. It enriches it. By stretching our categories, it reminds us that knowledge is provisional, always waiting for revision. Entropy continues. Radiation fades with distance. Signals weaken. Atlas becomes quieter again, not because it has finished its story, but because our chapter with it is ending. Others will follow. New visitors will arrive. Some will be smaller, some larger, some stranger still. The sky has never been economical with mystery. As attention shifts forward, Atlas settles into memory not as proof of anything extraordinary, but as a lesson in patience, in listening without demanding resolution, in respecting the difference between curiosity and certainty. Tonight the universe whispers again, not with urgency, not with warning, but with continuity, a reminder that motion persists whether we watch or not. That meaning emerges slowly. That understanding is not a destination but a practice. It's all right to let questions remain open. The stars continue their quiet turning, and the mind, finally unburdened, drifts gently toward rest. In the end, every long inquiry arrives at the same quiet threshold. Not an answer, not a revelation, but a recognition of where answers belong and where they do not. Atlas continues on its path, moving steadily away from the inner warmth of the sun, carrying with it the residue of our attention. Its brightness fades into background noise. Its signals thin until they blend with countless others. The object that once held our focus returns to being what it has always been, one traveller, among many drifting through a universe that does not pause to be interpreted. I've watched this pattern repeat again and again beneath the night sky. A signal appears. Curiosity sharpens. Hypotheses gather like constellations drawn between uncertain points. Instruments strain chasing clarity. And then slowly, inevitably, the universe reminds us that it does not revolve around our desire for closure. Objects move on, data settles into archives. Life beneath the stars resumes its quieter rhythm unchanged by whether our questions were answered. What remains is not disappointment, it is perspective. Atlas does not need to be artificial to matter. It does not need to overturn physics to leave an imprint on our understanding. Its significance lies elsewhere in the way it illuminated the edges of certainty and how it revealed the subtle tension between curiosity and expectation, and in how gently it reminded us that not every mystery is meant to culminate in resolution. Some mysteries exist to slow us down. There is a particular calm that arrives when a story refuses to escalate, when it neither confirms our hopes nor validates our fears, when it lingers without demanding interpretation. This calm is not resignation. It is maturity. It is the moment when curiosity learns that it can coexist with humility without diminishing either. Listener, this is where science becomes most human. Progress rarely arrives as a single dramatic moment. More often it accumulates quietly through careful refinement, through the narrowing of uncertainty rather than its elimination. Atlas reflects this truth with quiet precision. Each anomaly examined finds a partial explanation or gently stretches an existing framework. Nothing collapses, nothing fractures. Understanding expands slowly like space itself, and that is enough. There is a temptation after so much anticipation to feel anticlimax, to wish the universe had spoken more clearly, more decisively. But clarity has never been the sky's native language. The cosmos speaks in gradients, in probabilities, in patterns that reveal themselves only through patience. It communicates not through declarations, but through persistence. Acceptance is not the end of inquiry. It is its foundation. As Atlas recedes, its story dissolves into a larger one, into the endless flow of interstellar fragments, wandering bodies, ancient debris shaped by forces that long predate us. The universe is filled with such travellers. Most pass unnoticed. A few intersect briefly with our awareness. Fewer still linger long enough to challenge our assumptions. We do not need to assign intention to feel awe. We do not need certainty to find meaning. Late at night, when the final analysis has been written, and the screens dim, a particular stillness settles in. The mind releases its grip on explanation. The body remembers gravity. Breathing slows. Outside, the sky remains vast and unchanged, indifferent to whether we understand it or not. Stars burn quietly. Distances remain incomprehensible. Motion continues. Somewhere beyond our reach, something ancient still moves. Atlas does not carry answers carved in light. It carries a reminder that the universe is not obligated to resolve itself into narratives we prefer. That complexity is not an invitation to fear. That mystery is not a flaw to be corrected. It is a condition of existence. We often speak of humanity's fragility against the scale of space, but fragility is not weakness. It is awareness. To know that we are temporary observers within a vast system is not diminishing. It is grounding. It places curiosity in context and frees us from the burden of total understanding. Tonight the universe whispers again, not to warn us, not to impress us, but to remind us that motion continues whether we watch or not, that stars burn without ceremony, that objects pass through without meaning assigned to them. Meaning is something we cultivate quietly from observation and restraint, not something extracted from the sky. There is peace in this realization. Atlas will fade into catalogues and footnotes, into long-term studies and careful citations. Its name will be spoken less frequently. Its data will remain patient and unchanged, waiting for future minds to look again with different questions. New objects will arrive, new anomalies will surface, and once again the cycle will begin. Curiosity, attention, silence, return, acceptance. This is not monotony. It is continuity. Continuity is the universe's most reliable gift. It assures us that even as individual mysteries come and go, the larger story remains intact. That wonder does not depend on escalation. That meaning does not require answers. As sleep approaches, the need to resolve every question loosens. The mind is allowed to rest in uncertainty without discomfort. The body settles into the same physics that governs stars and stone alike. Gravity holds, time flows, entropy works quietly in the background, shaping everything without urgency. Traveller there is comfort in knowing that not everything is meant to be understood in one lifetime. The night sky has never demanded comprehension, only presence, and as the darkness deepens, presence is enough. The stars remain. The silence remains kind, and you small and safe beneath the vastness are free to drift gently into rest, knowing that the universe does not require certainty to remain beautiful, and that peace often begins exactly where understanding ends. Traveller, as Atlas continues its silent passage beyond our sight, we arrive at the quiet edge of this journey together. In a few days, the object will pass its closest point to the Sun, and weeks from now, new light will return to our instruments. Data will gather, numbers will settle. Yet even then, the universe may choose to answer softly or not at all. What matters is not whether every question resolves, but that we were here to witness the asking. We watched carefully, we waited patiently, and in doing so we took part in the oldest human tradition, looking into the dark with curiosity rather than fear. Science reminds us that nature always has the final word, but wonder reminds us why we listen in the first place. Somewhere beyond our reach, something ancient still moves, carrying its history through radiation and silence. And here beneath the same sky, we remain small, attentive, and quietly connected to it all. The mystery continues not as a problem to solve, but as a horizon to return to. If this story found you tonight, you may stay for the next. Rest well, traveller. The universe will keep watch